I played Jackie last round and she beat me and felt sorry for me and was like, I don't need these points anyway, and gave me the win.
Come, face me, give in to your pride.
Billy Brake originally got banned for this confession, admitting that his opponent had given him the win. It turns out that his story is actually that the slip was handed in first before any sort of match was conducted. The appeal came through 3 days later, and lo and behold, Billy Brake is back on track for Worlds. So this is not an attack on Billy Brake personally whatsoever, I just want to make that clear. But this whole situation has really exposed the dire inconsistencies in meting out justice and blatant favoritism among Konami. So if we analyse this from the beginning, Billy and Jackie got banned in fact, not for collusion, but for simply scooping, and was somehow misinterpreted to the judges as collusion. Konami clearly made a mistake in their investigation at some point, because the email itself says there was additional reliable information, and they had also checked the tournament files. So point number one really is, why didn't you look into the tournament files in the first place before banning them? The person in charge of this ban has obviously failed to carry out their investigation adequately, since they didn't deserve to be banned in the first place. If they had just simply asked them for their side of the story, this probably could have all been averted. So on to the next point, are we really made to believe that within 3 days you've managed to receive his suspension appeal, escalate said appeal, track down the tournament software and take a look through it, then have an internal discussion concluding the appeal, and finally you reply to Billy with said conclusion? You did all of that within 3 days. I just really doubt that. I doubt that because how many of you guys have been banned for whatever reason, appealed, and then had a reply within that short of a time frame? I've had friends get banned for minor cheating and have had to wait months before an acknowledgement came through, never mind the conclusion. And yet with Billy, this was all acknowledged, investigated, and concluded within 3 days. I think this is an example of blatant inconsistency on Konami's part. So someone might argue, well, you know, he's got to get to Worlds and he's obviously a hugely loved person in the community, it's only fair they quote unquote speed up his appeal. Now I do understand this argument, but I just don't see why it's fair on everyone else who's ever sent in an appeal. Why should someone's social status impact the deliverance of fair and equal justice? In the real world, that's known as corruption. You punish and serve everyone equally, it's only fair. Even if, hypothetically, let's pretend it's okay to be biased and treat famous people better for argument's sake, this whole argument still falls apart. Imagine you're in charge of this investigation. You'd probably take a step back and think to yourself, oh, this isn't going to end well if we ban Billy. Let's maybe just think about this for a second. Let's talk to Billy and Jackie, get their side of the story. Let's look at the additional reliable information and tournament files now, rather than later, then we can reach a thorough conclusion behind closed doors, rather than projecting it out to the community that we're actually just bad at our jobs. I also wanted to highlight another example in this whole farce, since it's opened up a whole can of worms now, and that goes back to the ban of Alessandro. Alessandro got banned for basically sexual harassment for 3 years for something that was kind of unrelated to Yu-Gi-Oh! Corey got absolutely nothing for threats of domestic terrorism at the next major event. I bring these two examples up to highlight the inconsistencies of Konami's bans. Why is it one rule for Alessandro and another rule for Corey? So to conclude, the main argument made is that Konami is completely opaque with their suspensions, and from what we can tell, are incompetent at concluding investigations and extremely biased when they do conclude them. Number one, Billy was inappropriately banned in the first place due to some degree of ineptitude at Konami. Number two, Billy's appeal appears to be treated with way more care, speed, and thoroughness than anyone else's appeal ever in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Number three, the parallels of Corey and Alessandro highlight either something we're not being told, or there's just simply a cosmic gap in equal treatment by Konami on a consistent basis. And that's all I got to say. Comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.
Come, face me, give in to your pride.